T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Good.
You ready for do more in the future? Trap Talk podcasters?
Yes.
Man.
Only Trap Talk. Exclusive.
Yes.
Exclusive. Oh.
So stop calling us.
Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the crop, gotta love it or not. I'm hot from the hop to the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with everybody, we do it. Everybody, we do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up.
You are now tapped into the coolest reptile podcast in the world. I'm your boy MJ. What is good, everybody? Happy Monday. Hope your week started off player, just like mine did. If it's your first time tapping, do your boy a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. That way you're on top of every single podcast I drop throughout the week. Appreciate all my recurring viewers, my recurring subscribers. Much love and respect. Shout out to everyone in the early bird comments. I see you guys. Get to you guys in a second, but you guys know how we roll on this channel. For the freshest, bestest rodents delivered to your doorstep, Cold Blooded Cafe, #1 of the game, $30 flat rate shipping. Go to the website, check it out. Please make sure you go follow Sim Container. If you got eggs, put them in a sim box. Less steps, less stress. If it's a sim, it's a win all day, every day. Shout out to John and Alex. Shout out to Steven and Ashley over at Focus Cube Habitats, PVC built enclosures out of Texas. All day, every day, flex in Texas. Shout out to Steven and Ashley. Thank you so much for your support. And then shout out to the leader of the industries when it comes to stainless steel racks. Freedom Breeder, baby, made in the United States. Shout out to Jesse. Shout out to the entire Freedom Breeder crew. Cannot wait to link up with these guys at a show. Pomona. Hopefully it's Pomona. I'm not sure if he's going to Pomona. Got to tap in with my boy Jesse. Are you guys going to Pomona? We'll talk about that in a second. What's good? Always evolving pythons. My boy Miguel Garcia doing big things this year. Already kind of giving you guys teaser of some of his productions, but he is just getting started. Head over to Instagram, give him a follow. Make sure you go subscribe to his YouTube channel. Last but not least, make sure you head over to Morph Market and follow his Morph Market account because you never know what he's going to drop on that. Especially if you're in that ball python game, you want to be tapped in. Shout out to Miguel Garcia. Shout out to the entire AEP family. Also, Miguel, man, your kids are getting big, bro. Really heartbreaking to see Aubrey going to high school. I like to see Ace growing up. He's very player, but man, I don't want Aubrey to grow up, man. But anyways, I'm proud of you, man. Got to say that. Anyways, shout out to Alan over at Amazing Basins. If you are into boreals like myself, well, check it out. He works with the Ferraris of boreal snakes. That's the Amazon Basin Emerald Tree Boa. Nothing tops a basin in my book. And if you're really about your arboreal shit, if you really know about this and you're not a noob, you know exactly where I'm coming at with the basins. It's really hard. I'm talking about, and not even any chondro could top a basin. Anyways, I don't want to get into it. Head over to Instagram. Give my boy Alan a follow. Amazing Basins. He also has some amazing ball python clutches popping off. He's getting back into the game. We'll talk more about it on our episode. Thank you, Alan. I appreciate your support. Also want to say shout out to Blake Stewart over at Stewart Design. If you are in this for the long run, like myself, invest with the best, man. That is going to be Blake Stewart. Your brand is everything. Elevate that shit. But if you're really serious about it, you understand this guy helped Justin go from Kabelka Reptiles to Kinova. Helped out Cold-Blooded Cafes, helped out Reach Out Reptiles, just to name a few off the top of my head. Anyways, he's a real deal, Holyfield. Shout out to Blake Stewart. Head over to Instagram, STIdentity.com, STIdentity, and head over to the website and see what he can do for you. Shout out to Blake Stewart. Shout out to the OG, triple OG in the game, Mark Bailey Reptiles. If you fuck with ball pythons and you've been doing it for a while, you know exactly who Mark Bailey Reptiles. I don't need to say much more about Mark Bailey Reptiles. He is an OG, triple OG, triple. Has done major things in this hobby, and he supports me. Thank you so much. Head over to excuse me, not on Instagram yet. I'm gonna have got to twist his arm more about that. But he has all his stuff available on Morph Market. Head over to Morph Market, check out his availability. Mark Bailey Reptiles. Appreciate your support. Appreciate the leaders of the industry. That's Rami over at the Reptile Super Show, #1 show on the West Coast. Pomona is happening this weekend, and it's my birthday week. Oh, what? Damn, I had to throw that out there. I'm going to Mexico this Wednesday. I'll be back Friday, and I will definitely be popping in Saturday at the Pomona Reptile Super Show. Who wants to buy me a scrub? I'm just kidding. I'm good. But I'll take some, I don't know, a Coors Light would be cool. Anyways, I'm tapping in. It's going to be amazing. Reptile Super Show this Saturday going down. Make sure you're ready. If you're in the area, you do not want to miss this show. Pomona is the real deal. It brings all the OGs out. It's going to be a good time. Make sure you tap in. Make sure you drop a comment, too, if you're going to the Reptile Super Show this coming weekend. I want to tap in with anyone who wants to tap in with me. It's going to be a great time. Then also shout out to Brian Potter and Bob Ashley for throwing the Super Bowl of reptile shows. NARBC, #1 shows in the world when it comes to linking out with everyone who's breeding. I'm telling you, man, this right here, the NARBC is like this. Everyone goes to these, okay? And this is where you could kind of market to the fullest extent when you're just coming to breeding and whatnot. You know what I mean? Like this is it. So I got to say, shout out to all these guys. Shout out to anyone who attends these shows. Because when attending these shows, we go to the auction over at the US ARC, and that's when the fun really happens. I want to say shout out to anyone out there supporting US ARC. We all should be supporting US ARC. If you keep animals, bird, all that shit, man. We all need to come together and fight for animal rights. Shout out to Phil Goss for giving us that big W in the reptile hobby. If you guys know what I'm talking about, if you don't, you need to head over to US ARC right now, read up on the current events, become a member as low as $5 a month. That's it. That's all it takes. Head over to YouTube, subscribe to the US ARC YouTube channel. That way you're on top of every single current event. And yeah, thank you, Phil Goss, for everything you do. Shout out to Phil Goss. If you like to follow what I have going on more than just podcast stuff, head over to Instagram, MJ Exotics Cartel with an A, not an E. And then you can also follow the Trap Talk with MJ Podcast Instagram page as well. If you happen to watch me on Twitch, I appreciate you. I have a Twitch account, and we're live on Twitch right now. So shout out to all my Twitch viewers if you're out there watching on Twitch. I do this for a full time. This is my full-time grind. If you would like to support me more than a subscribe, you have to support me more than a like. Best thing you can do is send a super chat. If you have a question for Summer, and if you want me to put that on the big screen, then send a super chat, and I'll make sure I get that question on the big screen. Other than that, you can send any donation you like to Exotics Cartel with an A, not an E. And if you're wondering how you could tap in more with the podcast, how you could get more behind the scenes, and how you could just support this podcast all in general, head down to the link, the very first top link, Trap Talk Patreon family. Join the Patreon family. Shout out to all my Patreon members in the building. I'll get to you guys in just a second, but I want to say from the bottom of my heart, shout out to all my trappers, man. My Patreon members are my heart. They keep me moving, and we get together every Sunday after every Sunday podcast. We tap in with each other on Zoom sessions, and it's great. We're all in it to win it, man. Literally, that's what it's all about. So shout out to my trappers. I salute you guys. And who is here? Who's ready for summer? I know I'm ready because this is going to be an amazing podcast. Let's see who's in the building. Julio Fulio, what is good? Trap Talk Patreon member in the building. Heathen Hatchery, what is good, player? Trap Talk Patreon member in the building. Jake Hole, Trap Talk Patreon member in the building. 1776 Exotics, what is good, player? Trap Talk Patreon member in the building. HB Reptiles, what is up, Herbert? Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Spectro 7, what is good? What's up, homie? Jersey guy, balls. Definitely Trap Talk Patreon member all day. Appreciate your support. Focus Cube Habitat, the sponsor in the building. That's what I'm talking about. Scale Fins and Feathers, the homie Josh, Trap Talk Patreon member all day. The homie Steven in the building, Trap Talk Patreon member all day. Royal Bama Reptiles, Trap Talk Patreon member all day. All my trappers in the building, I love it. Brandon Hernandez, what is up? Trap Talk gang, let's go. Chantel in the building, what's up? Trap Talk Patreon member. Team Zoo Dreams as well, I love it. Polymorph Pythons, what is good? Private Sector Pythons, what is good? Eric's Morph Factory, what is good? The homie Nate Dog, Trap Talk Patreon member, the homie Sean Perry in the building. Trap Talk Patreon member, what is good? And amazing feeders for you. What is good? How are you doing? Nate Dog, what is good? Are you on 2 different accounts or is that a different Nate? I don't know. I'm confused. Wolf W, what is good? Denton, what is good? I got to read this. What's up, everybody? This is Kensley from North Carolina, and this is my first time listening to Trap. My dad told me to follow MJ. Well, shout out to Pops and watch this podcast. I'm excited and love my reptiles. Kensley, you know I cuss, okay? And God bless your dad if he knows that and put you in this position. I hope you're at least at that age where cussing doesn't offend you, because we're going to fucking rock and roll. Let's go. All right, we're going to get going. Listen, I'm very excited for this episode. New Breed on the Block series. We have, without further ado, we have Summer from Kinova Reptiles tapping in. And here she is, tapping in with COVID like a champ. How you feeling?
Hey, I could be worse, I gotta say. So thankful that I didn't have a super bad case and I'm able to, be back on my feet and go back to work tomorrow. So
well, hopefully this kind of get your gears moving and running for
give me some
going tomorrow. Because
energy.
based off what I could tell after visiting the facility and seeing you there, your mind is working constantly. There's a lot of thinking going on in that facility. Am I correct?
Hey, well, there's got to be. There's just a lot of moving parts, so you kind of have to have all cylinders firing in order to keep it all straight.
Okay, I'm sure everyone out there just wants to know, how the hell did Summer get in the position that she's in? How did this girl basically become, Justin's right-hand girl, I guess you could say. He has Chase. God bless Chase. Chase does a great job, but then now he has you for a different purpose, and that's what I kind of want to talk about. Yeah,
so honestly, I was just thinking about that today. I was like, man, how did I end up there? It really, because the thing is, I was thinking back 3 years ago. I didn't know Justin. I didn't work there. And it would have been like a pipe dream. You know what I mean? Like, I would have never expected, if you'd asked me 3 years ago, what are you going to be doing in 3 years? It would not have been what I'm doing. I would not have said this. But I'm very grateful. But basically what happened was I answered a Facebook ad for cleaning cages. And,
wow.
I've always been into reptiles since I was a kid. Just always wanted to do this. I had a website when I was like 12. If you can find it on the Wayback Machine, if you look hard enough. I was trying to breed leopard geckos out of my closet as a
12 years old. Wow.
Yeah.
I love it.
So my parents had just gotten divorced. So I think my mom was like really lenient with me and like letting me do whatever I wanted. Wow. So I was just collecting reptiles, and I convinced her to let me buy a domain, and I hired a webmaster, and I created a website, and I shipped some snakes well before Ship Your Reptiles was a thing, like sketchily through the mail. It was a time. So back then this was always kind of what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a herpetologist and all that. And then, life has a way of taking you down different paths. And I ended up being a music teacher and a dance teacher. And I was doing that and have been doing that straight out of high school. And kind of just at a point where I needed to make more money. And I was like, well, I could take a second job. That's a nighttime job. I can take a job during the day. And I happened to come across this post in one of our Georgia reptile groups from Justin saying that he was moving to a new facility and was losing one of his workers and needed to find somebody to help pick up the slack, like cleaning cages, if anybody was interested. So I just emailed kind of on a whim, like not really, super seriously considering that I might actually get the job, but I got called in for an interview, and then I ended up getting the position. So I took it and I cleaned the ball pythons and kind of learned everything there was to learn about all the husbandry that they do and the procedure there. And I did that for about 9 months, and it was great. I loved it. I loved working with the snakes, but I was working like 2 jobs. I was basically working like, a full-time job and a half. And it was just not sustainable. I was like gone like 14 hours a day, and both of my jobs are very physical. So I was a mess in terms of like just my mental well-being. It was just working too much. So I quit on Justin. And at the time I was like, man, this is gonna be, I'm probably gonna regret this, because I was like, this kind of was like a little dream of mine, and I felt like, man, I got to do it, but like, at the end of the day, I was kind of like, I can't, I can't keep going on like this, and I need to stick with my profession that I'd been doing for, you know, all my schooling and stuff was geared toward. I have a music degree. And I quit. And then a couple months later, Justin texted me and was like, "Hey, how you doing? Like, are you still like, you know, you like your job? Like, what's going on?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm doing good. Hope you're doing well." And he basically asked if I could help him post on Instagram a little bit, like just kind of help him. He was just overwhelmed with all the Instagram messages, and if I could help him manage some of the messages and like maybe make some posts, like generic posts a couple times a week to just keep it active. And I was like, sure, that shouldn't take long. I'm always on Instagram anyway, looking at reptile pictures. So I started doing that. And then from there, he started asking me to edit some of his photos that he was, you know, the pictures that he posts online. So I started doing that. And then from there, he started asking me to update his website a little bit. And then from there, he started asking me if I could come help him film some of his videos because his son was doing it, but his son was kind of shaky. So he was looking for somebody that wasn't as shaky as his son.
Shout out to Greer.
Yeah.
Greer's the man. So
yeah. He's funny. So yeah, he's a cool kid. And then from there, he had me edit a video. And then once I edited one video, I started editing all the videos. And then once I was editing all the videos, it was very quickly no longer a 1 or 2 hours, you know, a week or even 1 or 2 hours a day. It was now quickly back to I'm doing two jobs kind of, you know, at once. And so he asked me to come on for him full time. And so I left my other job and I came over to Kinova. And then from there, I started doing a lot, you know, all the YouTube videos. We started the Patreon, and then now I've taken over the sales as well. So yeah, it's just kind of grown, and I'm really enjoying it.
That Justin, he's a sneaky one, isn't he? He just knew. He knew. Like he started giving you like little tasks here just to see if you would do them or not. And clearly, not only did you do them, but you probably like surpassed his expectations. You know what I mean? And then,
hopefully, but yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't think he would have put so much onto you as far as like, you know, all right, we'll do this next, and why don't you meet up with me this? So I just feel like I always talk about this in every show. Like things have a reason, you know. Everything, especially in this hobby, stars align with certain people for a reason. And I just felt like because how animals sense back from when you're a child, you know, and what that means to you. And here's one thing, Summer, like I know how some people get into this and they love the animals, but it's different for some people. You know what I mean? Like not everyone, not to say for the most part, I would say 8 out of 10 people, if not 9 out of 10 people grew up loving animals as a kid, but some people also got into this because of the money side of things. Right. Mm-hmm. For us, you know, I mean, for why I do things and why I'm so meticulous and on point with my shit, because how much I dearly love these animals because what they were to me as a kid, and I'll never forget that feeling. I'm pretty sure you know what I mean when it comes to that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, like my I come from a line of animal people, but I mean, I don't feel this, and I love all animals, don't get me wrong, but I don't feel the same way about birds as I do reptiles. You know what I mean? There's just something about it that is like different for me. Like, I mean, the best birthday party I ever had was my 13th birthday, I think, or my 12th birthday, one of those. My stepdad knew somebody that worked at the Atlanta Zoo, and so they got me to go like on a private like backstage tour of like the reptile house at the Atlanta Zoo, and I just remember being in such awe and like talking to me about all this like really nerdy stuff that like no 12-year-old would care about. They were talking about like you know, like funguses and frogs, like decimating like frog populations. And I was like, tell me more. And yeah, I don't know. It's just been a weird thing that I've just always been interested in. Like in middle school, I would go to, I volunteered at a pet shop, which basically meant that I just did all the work that the teenagers who were getting paid to be there were supposed to do.
Right.
And I didn't get paid. They just told me to do all their work, sweep the floors. But at the end, if I got done with my stuff in time before my mom came to get me, I would get to hold whatever animals I wanted. So I would just go back there and play with all the lizards and the snakes and just that. I mean, that was my lifeblood for a lot of my life. Like the thing that really just gave me joy out of anything. I mean, I was on, so I don't know, again, I don't know what my mom was doing. My mom was working. That's what she was doing. But I mean, I was on like forums and chat rooms and stuff with like weird reptile people when I was like 11. It's like, why were you talking to an 11-year-old? But I'm glad they did, because it really fostered that love and like that passion in me. And yeah, it's never really gone away. So
did you ever really 100% disconnect from the animals at all while you're doing the dance stuff as teaching? Like, were you ever like with no animals, period?
No. So actually I had I had like a big obsession start with when I was in middle school. Really, I got a boa when I was 11. My mom actually got it for me. My mom likes reptiles. And she made me research it on my own and kind of figure out, like, she was like, okay, you can get out, I'm gonna get this for you for your birthday, but like, I want you to kind of look it up. And I loved the internet and the computer and all that. So I had a computer in my room. So I went online and I started researching boas. And from there, I found all the reptile forums and all the online community. This was like 2003. And, that just got me in this spiral of researching all these different animals and all these cool snakes and pets and learning about them and talking to people about them. And from there, I got a pretty, decent collection. I had maybe like 2 dozen or 3 dozen animals. But over time, like my mom got remarried, we moved a bunch. Gradually, she would make me rehome things just because we were changing locations and all that. But I got down to a point where I just had one lizard, but it was my first lizard that I ever got. It was a bearded dragon. She actually just passed away last summer. So she lived to be 18. Wow. So I had her. She was like the starter.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So she was my first lizard. I mean, I had snakes before I had lizards, but yeah, so I had her for 18 years, which is crazy to think about. And I always had her, and then I would kind of go in and out. Like I would get, there's probably 5 years there where I had a bunch of stuff. And then there was about, I guess the next like 10 years, I would kind of have a couple things and then I would have to get rid of them and all that. And then finally, once I graduated college and moved out of my parents' house is when I kind of got back into it. Cause I was like, well, now I am in control of my own situation. And if I want to have an animal, I can get an animal, and no one can tell me not to have it. So
now I'm curious, as soon as you wanted, you went ahead and accepted Justin's offer for the full-time position. You're married, right? You just got married?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we've been together for like 6 years now.
Well, congratulations on, getting married and whatnot. But what's his, I'm sure you guys sat down and talked about it, right? And what's his thoughts on you working with animals, like for like a living, for actual living?
He was really ready for me to not, I mean, he's supportive in everything I do, but the lifestyle of the dance and music, which I love, and I love kids, and I love the musical theater and the arts and all that, but it's like a nighttime job. So you have to do it after school because that's when kids are around to do activities. And it was just really hard when he has a 9-to-5 job and I was working from 3 p.m. till like 9 p.m., not getting home until 10. It just was really hard. You just never see each other and it's stressful. So he was ready for me to have a job where I would be less stressed and I would, be able to have more flexibility with my hours. And with the job with Kinova, I'm able to do some work from home. Like I've been out with COVID, but I've been working the whole time because most of my job is on the internet, really. So, it's really been great to have that flexibility. And of course he knows that I love the animals, and he, he's just supportive of me being happy and pursuing what's going to make me happy and what's going to, benefit us as a couple and just our lives together. So I'm very grateful that he has no issues with it at all. He would love it. I mean, he's like, when can you breed all your snakes and make money? That's what he keeps asking. So
slow down.
Yeah.
Now I'm curious, without COVID being a factor right now in your life, what's a typical day for summer? You know what I mean? Like, let's talk about like if it's a Monday or whatever, right? You're walking in, you're supposed to go into the office, right? So what can you walk us a typical day for you at Kinova?
Yeah, so it's a little different depending on the day, but typical day, I go in, I sit down. First thing I do is going to be check the emails, get the email inbox cleared out. And that is mostly sales emails, people that have inquired from Morph Market, stuff like that. But also, we'll get questions from people. A lot of this time of year, we get a lot of questions about people wanting help with ID and clutches, that kind of thing. And then after I kind of go through that, then we have the shipping schedule. So I make sure that all of the people that are supposed to get animals shipped out, that they have confirmed that they know that they're getting a shipment today. Like we've kind of confirmed all that with them.
Right.
And if I haven't, then I reach out to them to kind of figure out what the deal is. And then after that, that can take several hours to get through that whole process. And then from there, depending on what I have to do, I'll usually start editing some videos for Patreon, editing something for YouTube, getting something together like that. And if I don't have anything to edit at the moment, then I usually will go and I will work in the special projects room that you saw with the other animals. That's kind of my little responsibility. I keep that room clean and kind of keep tabs on those animals. So I'll go in there and do some work in there for an hour or so. And then I look through, if I don't have anything to do, which is rare, there's usually something kind of just comes up. Justin will be in there. We'll start talking. We'll start planning something. We'll start filming for the week. But if I've gotten all the tasks done, which pretty rarely, maybe happens once a week, there'll be a time where I'm like, okay, wait, I actually don't have anything to do right now. I'll go and I'll look in the snake room and just kind of check out the babies and kind of see what we have going on. Kind of get tabs on that. And then that helps me with people who are looking for animals that we haven't hatched yet, to kind of just keep fresh in my mind what we have coming up, so I can remember who to reach out to let them know about clutches. And then also a lot of the time, honestly, recently we're doing a lot of work with, we have a few projects in the works. So I've been spending a lot of time on like conference calls. Like we worked with Stewart Design for rice reptiles to get them their branding done. So that, we did some sessions with them where
That's
we
cool.
have, we have some other projects in the works that we're devoting a decent amount of time and effort, actually a large amount of time and effort for that we'll be sharing pretty soon. But I don't want to spill the beans. But yeah, so that takes up a decent amount of time. It's like sitting in on meetings and conference calls, and then all the emails and stuff. That's the big time suck. But
so yeah, I was gonna say, obviously I do see that you're kind of, I don't want to say spread thin, but you do have your hands in more than one different places. You know what I mean? As much as you like to keep your head wrapped around the new hatchlings and whatnot, which that's everyone's favorite. You also have some amazing other stuff growing up, like the green tree python stuff, and you have some super dwarf stuff happening right now as well. So
yeah,
what right now, what do you feel like is kind of grasping the more of your energy when it comes to like figuring them out more, I guess you can say?
Yeah. So yeah, we're doing, for those that don't know, Kinova, Justin has gotten interested in the in green tree pythons. I mean, he's always been interested in them, but he's kind of taken the plunge, made some contacts in the chondro community and taken the plunge and invested in some animals to start growing up. And it's been really exciting because we've had that special projects room with the Boland's pythons, which are my favorite. I love them. I could sit with them all day. And we've had a couple of random other animals in there, but it's kind of been like this thing that was like, not to say that they've always been given attention and care and everything, but like it's been put on the back burner because of so much going on with the ball pythons, which is obviously the main focus of the business and, the thing that Justin has to focus on. But since, there's another person there, me, we're going to like start building out the special projects a little bit more. And we're actually have been working with Focus Cubed to completely redo that room. So that's another thing that I've been working on, has been figuring out plans for cages and getting that all arranged with them. And hopefully, I think by September, we should have that room redone with wall-to-wall cages from them. So I'm really excited to see what they come up with, because they do great work. And I really love kind of some of the drafts they've been showing me. But yeah, we have some chondros growing up, and now we've had a super dwarf for a long time that Garrett Hartle sent, a female pure super dwarf. And then I don't know if you want to spill the beans, but we got that. We're getting more super dwarfs. Well, I'll show shortly
there's more to come. Let's just say there's more to come.
There's more to come. And so that's something else that is
actually, you know what? Summer, hold on. Fuck that shit. Spill the beans. Tell them what I sent you guys. I don't care.
So MJ sent us this really, really nice. He had that awesome clutch. Was it a marble platinum anery clutch? Am I right about that?
Yeah. So the female was a platinum het anery, and then the male was a marble het anery, and so they're both 50% Kalatoa super dwarfs. And so I sent you guys the marble het anery, but it was like one of the nicer ones of the marbles. It's,
that's the look that I liked. And Justin liked that one too. So yeah, so we've just gotten her in, but she was in shed when we got her. So as soon as she's out of shed, I'm gonna take her outside and get some nice really nice pictures of her to show her off, because I'm super excited. That'll be my first. I have some super dwarfs personally, but that'll be my first super dwarf morph that I've ever worked with. So,
your current? I'm curious. The current super dwarf collection that you have in your own house. How big is that? How many do you have?
Oh, I just have a pair. I have a pure super dwarf male. He's Kalatoa female, generic super dwarf, but pure male, like an old line. And then I have a goat line female. So it's a 50% super dwarf Karapa Kalatoa cross with a Banteng Sulawesi male. So she is really, really cool. Yeah. So they're great. I love them.
They're both from Garrett, I'm assuming. Who are they from?
Yeah, they're both from Garrett. Yeah, Garrett, Retard Reptiles. Mm-hmm.
Can't go wrong. That's all.
You can't go wrong. And they're great. They just have great personalities. They're such fun snakes. So yeah, I really love working with them, and I'm glad that actually the reason I got them, not the reason I got them, I'd always wanted them, and I'd kind of been on a waiting list for years. And then Justin got one because somehow people just give Justin snakes without kind of, he managed just to jump some waiting lists sometimes. So he got one, and I got to work with it a little bit when I was cleaning cages for him. It was actually right before I quit, and I held it, and literally that day I got home and I emailed Garrett again, and I was like, whatever you have, send me something. And so I ended up with my super dwarf Giles. Yeah. And so that's kind of what got me, because once I saw it in person, I was like, no, I have to have one of these, like, for real. But yeah, I love them. So I'm super excited to get that other female, and I'll have two females growing up. So then in a couple years, we have to get a male. Again, then we have some awesome chondros. And so that's really fun for me, because as much as I love ball pythons and I love, the genetics and kind of all that comes along with that, my real, my personal passion is kind of snakes that are fun to watch. You know what I mean? Fun to look at. In their cages, not, ball pythons are fun to look at in pictures and stuff like that, but they're not super, they can be, but for the most part, they're not the best display snakes. I like to hide a lot. So I love snakes that I can show off in my house and kind of have like a fish tank, but with a snake. So it's really fun for me to have the display cages at Kinova and kind of work on some stuff that we can just admire, like on your lunch break, or when people come to see the facility, they can walk in and see stuff without us having to pull open tubs and stuff like that. So yeah, I really enjoy that.
I mean, I was going to ask you, is it ever, I don't know, how often does Justin have people coming by to his place? Is it almost every day someone's over, or is it not really that consistent?
It's not that. No. We don't have people that often. We're really not open to the public. But I think because we had let friends over, like you, do tours and stuff like that, it's so funny, because every time somebody comes, they always want to film, which is fine. But then they post it on YouTube. And so then inevitably we get like 10 emails being like, how can I come, like, tour your place? And we're really not open for tours. Our policy, though, is that, like, if somebody buys a snake from us, especially, a lot of our snakes are pretty expensive. If somebody's spending a good amount of money, and, if they want to come pick it up in person, we can arrange that as long as it's possible. So that the only time really that anybody comes over is if they're picking up a snake. So it's not often. I would say maybe maybe twice a month we maybe have somebody out. But the other thing that we do have is we have some school tours. Like Justin's kids are all homeschooled, so his wife is very involved with like their homeschool community and stuff like that. So she'll arrange through various groups they're in, like for groups of kids to come. So we have kids come and tour and things like that. So it's just nice to have. Plus, it's always a good little talking point, like when the mailman comes, or the guy comes to like fix a leak or something. We have these big snakes in the lobby.
You have another friend in the building. Can we just give a quick shout out to Bill Stiegel?
Bill, what's up?
Stiegel. Hey,
Yeah,
I don't know.
he's awesome.
Did you realize in Gary Shavino's vlog, kept calling him Stegel, Bill Stegel. Bill had to correct him. Yeah, Bill had to put him up against the wall and against the door and say, "It's Stiegel. It is Stiegel." It was amazing. You had to be there. Anyways,
shout out to Bill Stegel. He's a great guy.
Oh my God, I gotta say, it is awesome to I witnessed that whole you showing up to Bill's place for the barbecue, and you guys went straight to the room. I remember you guys didn't even go hang out first. You guys like went straight to the room, I believe. And looked at chondros and whatnot, and to see like, I met you there for the first time, and to see Justin just have an interaction with the green tree python was like very historical. I gotta say, it was like, wow, like this could be very huge for the green tree python community and the ball python. Like it could just bring a lot more together, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Which I feel like we need. I feel like that's another big task on your hands. You have historical possibilities going on with, who knows what could happen, knock on wood. Obviously we can't predict the future, right? But you never know what could possibly happen with what you're working with right now. That's not ball python.
Yeah.
Like it could lead into something we don't know yet, which is why I'm very excited for you guys.
Yeah. And I'm excited for it, if nothing else, than for the fact that Justin does have a sizable online presence as far as reptile community goes, and that we could potentially use that platform to bring more attention to green trees and kind of, because as great as ball pythons are, I am a big fan of all snakes and reptiles and lizards. And I think that there's a snake out there for everybody. And if a ball python's not for you, maybe a green tree is, maybe a super dwarf retic is, maybe a Poland's is, if you have a crap ton of money.
Right.
But yeah, and I think that's something that I'm very passionate about personally, is kind of the educational side of it and sharing how awesome all these animals are. And I think one of the things that is so awesome about reptiles is the variety, and there really is something for everybody. And, you might not, you just might not have been exposed to it yet. So I think the more that we can do to expose different species and kind of break down some of the stigmas around them, it's going to be beneficial. So even if, and of course it's really exciting to be getting all these really incredible quality animals. And I'm loving watching the color change and all that, because, we're getting neonates and kind of getting to experience that, the color change they go through, which is so insane. Not knowing what we're going to end up with, very and the possibilities insane of what we may be able to produce with what we're acquiring is super fun. But again, even if they all turn out looking like normal green snakes and we don't make anything crazy ever, the fact that maybe if somebody watched the videos and kind of gets a spark in their brain about picking up a chondro, that would be awesome.
Well, here's the thing, like, with ball pythons, right? Everything stems from a normal. Everything came from like a normal looking ball python at one point. And all these normals that had hidden genes in them, like the hets, that proved out that B shit, eventually led to something. So what I'm saying is, the crazy thing that you have productions from Bill Stiegel, Gary Shavino, right? Let's say that these snakes do go green, right? They are fucking packing some serious like lineages. Like I'm talking like the pedigree in those snakes will produce like that. Those are the one snakes where you can put that green snake to that green snake and you will still get something crazy.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And that's the beauty, but that's all who you get it from too. But even out of the wild too, some are like snakes that come from import all the time. You hear people who have long-term kept imports that hatch out crazy looking shit. So it's like, that's the beauty with chondros, man. But the not so beauty thing is getting the chondros to do all that, like the breeding part. Like that's when you run into like, oh, I'm having a great time, boom, and then you run to a wall and you're like, what the fuck just happened, like,
right.
because, I mean, you know damn well when you're opening up those bin, because right now they're in tubs, right? Because they're growing up. But even when you're opening up, like they're you just feel so like, oh my God, look at this thing. Like, like you become attached to it. Right. So imagine that journey imagine that journey of attachment to like 4, 5, 6, even 7 years old. And then they die.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's awful. I have like anxiety dreams about that. Like for real though.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah. It's tough. But, at the end of the day, like, Bill Siegel didn't get where he was at by, not doing that, and Gary Shavino, Marshall Mendez, which what a great time. How did it feel did you kind of understood that who you had at the facility at that time? I'm sure you did, right? But like, I was like
super excited.
I was floored, dude.
At first it was just Bill, and then they kept kind of asking if somebody else could come along, and I was like, bring it on. All these people you're talking about sound great. Let's have them all. So yeah, no, it was super awesome. And like, again, I just think back to three years ago, I would have, dreamed that these people would have even ever like glanced in my direction. So yeah, I was thrilled.
And here's one thing I was thrilled about, because listen, I'm not the one, because I can't stand this when people do this, but I'm not the one to like invite myself to something that's already happening. Right. And so Bill brought it up like twice to me, and when he came for Trap Fest, brought it up when he landed. And then the last day, it's like, I'm sad he's leaving. Then he brings it up again. And I'm just like, and he's like, hey, listen, Marshall invited himself and Gary invited himself. Why don't you just invite yourself? And I'm just like, well, I don't see Justin saying no to me. I was like, let me just call him. Okay, let me do a couple things. Let me look at flights, because flights are crazy right now, right? So I was like, let me just see if this is even like feasible. And I happened to look at the flights, and I was like, oh wow, that's everything linked up there. And then I hit up Justin, and Justin was like, well, yeah, that'd be great, because at the end of the day, Justin just doesn't know too much about Marshall. He doesn't know too much about Gary. He's never like hung out the way he's hung out with me.
Right.
You know
what I mean? To bridge the gap. Yeah.
And I got to bridge all of that, because he was like, because once Justin found out I was going, Justin was hitting me up and asking me questions. And I'm like, I was like, all right, I'll ask them. No problem. So like, it just felt good to be the bridge of that.
Yeah, it was perfect. Like, it was a great group. Yeah.
Yeah. It was here we go, talking about things that line up and were meant to be, you know what I mean? And what a great weekend that was. That's all I got to say. It was awesome. And I'm sure it's going to happen again at some point.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think, and I mean, I was just pleased that everybody got to connect. And I think Justin had a great time. And I know he was, just, he's kind of an introverted guy, but I think it was a good guys weekend for him. Hang out with some really nice people, and so I was really excited about it.
So let me ask you, one thing I asked you inside Kinova when we were vlogging, or I didn't record this, but I asked you, about your ball python collection, and you're like, well, I don't have ball pythons, and I'm like, why don't you have ball pythons? You're like, well, kind of, what's the point, right? Like, right. And that makes total sense. Don't know why I would even like, especially if it's my job, right? Like, why would I even want to mimic this when it's like already here, and like you could focus on like really like what you're focusing on, like, which I respect for you, not just being a bandwagoner and just doing that, right? But what I'm asking you though, like, let's just say if you were to dabble into this at this point, like with you knowing what you're doing, I mean, do you feel like you would know what direction you want to go at this point? Like, let's just say if you were to take this on, like you had whatever space, whatever time, husband's down for whatever, do you know where you would want to take your direction into the ball python game?
Yeah, I mean, I would follow our Patreon advice.
Respect. Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, wow.
Yeah, I mean, I would copy what Justin says to do. I mean, I would have my own ideas for, combinations or whatever, but I mean, I would focus on recessives. I would, get some good females. I would grow up. The big thing for me is really just that I never had, in order to do what I thought would be cool in ball pythons, I didn't have enough money. You know what I mean? Right. And it's not to say that you can't make a lot of progress with, if you're smart and invest right. But I mean, like, I had nothing to invest. So it was like, I'm not, and I had been in doing it. I think because I started out like so long ago in all of this because okay, a lot of people like that aren't into it, they get into it now and they don't really know anything about it, and so they get a bunch of like, you know, not to be rude, but like basic snakes, you know what I mean, like just snakes that really are
to get into it. They're just to get into it.
They just get into it. They don't know anything. They don't know it.
Yeah, they just don't
know.
They
go to Repticon, they get a bunch of stuff, they buy it, then they start to breed, and then once they're already doing it with like some kind of random snakes that don't really necessarily have that much of like a direction, or they're just not going to be very profitable, then they start to realize, oh wait, what am I going to do, and all that. Well, I kind of did that 15 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, so now when I kind of already had the whole like jumping in, not really know what I'm doing, but getting really excited and buying a bunch of stuff. I already did that. So now it's like I don't have the benefit of ignorance, I guess. So I already knew when I started getting back into reptiles seriously that I wasn't going to be able to do what I wanted to do by buying some like $200 snakes at Repticon. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't going to be able to like make big moves in the ball python game going that route because it was just that had already been done. And I personally, if I was gonna do it, I would want to do it like Justin's doing it, or like somebody like Miguel or JP or yourself, or somebody that's kind of got, you know, there's so many people, all these people. I mean, I sell to people every day that are going to be doing awesome stuff with the snakes. So it's not that it can't be done. I just didn't feel I could do it based on my situation. I wasn't in place. So that's really why I didn't really get back into ball pythons.
That's exactly why, because the ball pythons was the reason why I got into everything else. It started everything, right, Summer? But exactly what you said. I was just getting shit to collect it. I was like, oh, I need females. Okay, I need males. I wanted to breed so bad, but I had no fucking clue what I was even collecting when it came to, because I didn't even know what morphs were. I didn't know what a recessive was. I didn't know what a codon was. Right. But, you know, as soon as I found out, I got quick about it. Like I got quick on my feet. Luckily, you know, there wasn't Patreon back then, but, you know, I had Miguel was my fucking very source of knowledge and you know, advice. I would always go to Miguel, and Miguel would either just set me up with things or just basically tell me what to do, and I just follow his advice. That was basically on my Patreon page, even though I didn't pay him for anything. Shout out to my boy Miguel. But anyways, like it's, you know, once you have good advice and you see that it works for somebody else, and you know, you just gotta stick to it. One thing I can't stand, Summer, is how somebody will take and value someone's advice that could potentially change everything for them, but then they'll go and get advice from somebody else, and then the other person gives them advice, and then they're just conflicted and will try to do a little bit of everything. You can't do that. Like you gotta just
you gotta
stick to one thing.
You gotta find what it is you're trying to do and then see it through. And if that fails, it failed. But like you're never gonna get anywhere doing a little of this, a little of that, a little of this, a little of that. You know what I mean? It just doesn't work, at least not in my, you know, my vision of things. I think you really have to kind of, like you're saying, you've got to kind of pick an approach and go with it.
There's a battle going on for, okay, so listen, I don't really hate on any super chat here, Summer. You know what a super chat is, right? Somebody who like, I do. So, you know, somebody sometimes does like $1.99, and in my head, I'm like, why not just do $2? Like, just put that penny there. But it's kind of a joke, right? But now they're taking it a little too far. There's like a war right now. So here's 2001. There's 2002. Here's 2003. It's getting out of hand. But listen, I think it's all because they love this show right now. So, and to top it all off, I think we have our celebrity appearance award winner right here, and that's Gary Shavino in the building. Okay,
Gary Shavino.
In the building.
What's up, Gary?
I can count on one hand how many times he's tapped in on my podcast is on a live, and this is just me making him feel bad because I like to do that. But Gary Shavino, ladies and gentlemen, what a guy! I love Gary. Don't you love Gary?
He's an amazing character. What a personality. It was funny to me when I met him in person because he comes across so confident and he comes across like such a performer, but then he told me that he was nervous to go on to live streams, and I was like, I cannot believe that. Of all the people I would least expect to be nervous about like something like this would have been him. But yeah, that just goes to show you that you know, you never really know.
I'll tell you one thing, man. I got really lucky with Gary, you know, and it had to be during the time, you know, we lost our good friend Forrest Fanning, rest in peace, Forrest, and then, you know, Desiree, his wife, kind of took over as a host for his position there, and was able to get Gary on the show, because I didn't know Gary at the time. I just knew of him, and I respected everything. I still look up to Gary the same way I looked up to Gary, if not even more, back in 2017. But anyways, so she got him on the show, and it was a great show, sorta. I don't know. This is when we first started, so everything was kind of rocky, you know, but it was an amazing show. I must have asked him maybe 17 times since then, and he has told me no, that he's shy. He doesn't want to go on. And I'm like, Gary, what do you mean you're shy? You see Gary in person, you would never think he's a shy guy at all.
No, it's surprising.
But at the end of the day, he does, you know, he's not like, you know, he's a confident guy, but he's not flamboyant. Like, he's not like in your face. You know what I mean? He's he got to like you to open up to you, I feel like. And this is just me, just, you know, guessing. But shout out to Gary Shavino.
Well,
Thank you.
I think people should leave a super chat if they think Gary should come on MJ's show.
I like that. Leave a super chat if you think Gary Shavino should finally come on Trap Talk, and it could be 99 cents. I don't care. You could do $1.05. I don't care. If you feel like Gary Shavino needs to come on Trap Talk once and for all, and I'll even fly to his place, okay? Please drop a super chat, all right? Or at least drop a like. Do something. Say yes. Hi. Good times, please. That's a good one. Thanks, Summer. I need that. Because listen, that is a bucket list one, and it will happen at some point. It's just, and we talked about it. I've given Gary a lot of talks about it. So thanks for putting that in there. I owe you that. I owe you for that one, Summer. Oh, shit. Look at this. Now it's getting really raw right now.
Oh, damn.
The mayor of Condro Town is not playing. Bill Stiegel. It is Stiegel. Let's go. Oh, my God. You guys are nuts. All right, listen, Summer, I got to ask you. The money side of things, right? Which the ball python, like you're in a position where you're probably seeing the nicest, most futuristic ball pythons being made. Okay. Yeah. Do you feel like, you know, just being from the outside looking in, and you seen people invest and throwing all this money, do you ever think like, man, like that's crazy? Like, do you ever in your head, are you thinking like, fuck, this is nuts, or like, meaning like in a way to like, why are they doing that? Or is it like, wow, that's just a lot of money and they're going to make money off of it? Like, where do you stand when you see people make investments like that?
No, I mean, I think it's crazy in an awesome way. The fact that there is so much money to be made. First of all, the fact that these people have this money to, I'm always like, anytime somebody invests big, I'm always kind of like, good for you that you are in a place in your life where you have this money to invest. It's kind of, first of all, what I think. But then, you know, I see both sides of it. I mean, I see the money people are spending, but I also, I mean, just to be frank, I see the money that we bring in. And so I know that there is, it's not like they're investing into thin air. Like, there is a future for them with the investment that they're making. They can get a return on that investment. So no, I don't think it's crazy. I think it's awesome. I think it is crazy in the sense that, like, yeah, I sold a $12,000 snake the other day. That's crazy. But I don't think that person is crazy for buying it. I'm like, dang, I'm excited for them because they're getting a really awesome animal. And how awesome is it that I got to sell it to them? But yeah, no, I don't. I mean, I think it's just kind of a sense of wonder that the industry is at a place still after all this time. And the ball pythons specifically, which have been, you know, rumored to be doomed for decades now. That market, it's not, you know, it's not dying or dead. It's honestly probably maybe even better than ever. And so I'm amazed in a good way.
I gotta say, I give it up to people like Marshall and Bill. Because I was, you know, here I am starting with ball pythons and finally getting a foundation, I guess you can say, and like really investing. And then I had people, Forrest at the time, and Andrew, like getting me into chondros and other stuff. And I was like, and they're like, you know, basically talking shit about ball pythons. I'm not gonna lie. They're like, why the fuck? Like, dude, that's saturated. Like, what can you do? Like, and I'm like, I don't know. I like the chondros, but I was like, hold on. I think I had one good year basically. And I was like, I'm going to keep these ball pythons. I'm going to at least keep something. Like I'll keep them at least a part of what I have going on. I'm not going to just cut them out. Right. Which I'm glad I did. Right. because now you got to understand how all these chondro people that were making fun of me back in those days are now asking me questions on how they could get into the ball python game. It's funny how that works out, isn't it?
Yeah, no, yeah, it's crazy. And I mean, there's a lot of that sentiment, and I can understand. That's why, like, I think HP Reptiles, I cannot choose a favorite. It's like a favorite child.
And that's it.
I will tell you.
Definitely not for $10 either, bro. Come on now.
No, not for $10. But I will tell you, the customers who are the easiest are always my favorite. If you're an easy customer.
Hey, here's a good topic. Summer, check this out. It didn't happen this trip, and I'm not going to even say what trip it was. Could be the first. I've been to Kinova 3 times, so I'm not going to tell you what trip it was. But there was a trip where I actually heard Justin on the phone, and I don't want to say he was frustrated or mad, but he was like, he had somebody really giving him a hard time customer-wise on the phone. And, you know, he hung up and broke down the situation. And I was like, oh, fuck, that's like, what a dick. I guess I could say that because it's not my problem, but like hearing how he was treating Justin and demanding certain things, I was like, God damn, I funnily enough, I know now exactly who you're talking about. Exactly what you're talking about. What I was going to say though, is like, what are some tips out there on people out there who like need help on how to approach any kind of customer? I mean, look, do you have any advice on how you could be a good customer and a bad customer? Like, anything that you could
all day long? I can give you advice on this.
Let's go.
So yeah, a few things. If you have a bunch of questions, that's fine. Like, we're there to answer questions. Ask them all in the first email. The fewer back and forths, the easier it is for everybody, because the easier we can tell if you're serious, the faster you're going to get responses. It's just easier. So if you have a bunch of questions, ask them all at once. Don't make it like a back and forth exchange over and over again. The other thing is, this kind of goes without saying, but like, we're generally going to prefer to not discount animals. And we're also going to prefer to not do payment plans. Now, we will do both at different times, depending on situations, but the person that is going to pay full price and pay today is always going to be preferred over a long-term agreement or somebody that's trying to like wheel and deal. So just be wary of that. And a lot of times there's more than one person trying to buy the same snake. So if you're somebody that is always trying to wheel and deal, there might be somebody else trying to buy that same snake that isn't trying to wheel and deal. So just be wary of that. Another thing is that what really goes a long way is, again, just your speed of communication and your promptness, and not just if you're you're communicating quickly, but if you're providing valuable information back. Like if we sold you a snake and you sent the payment, go ahead and send us your shipping address so that we don't have to ask for it. You know what I mean? Just stuff like that just makes it go so much faster and it's easier. And of course, again, it's my job to talk to people and to get all that information, and I'm happy to do it, but it's just easier and more enjoyable if everybody kind of can get to the point and you guys get the snakes faster and there's less back and forth, less room for confusion or miscommunication. And also be nice.
First off, be nice, because that's your biggest ticket to get almost anything you want. Is you have to at least be nice first, like be somebody who's approachable or at least talkable to, you know what I'm saying? Which at the end of the day, like, I don't know, you hit spot on the point where I don't feel like Justin doesn't want to give payment plans to people, but it's called demand. And there's certain things that people are ready to rock and roll for. And, and it's nothing personal. It's just, at the end of the day, it's business. Like, it only makes sense. Why do we need to break payments down on something when homeboy in fucking Tennessee over here is ready to pay paid in full? And there's no wait for that. You know what I'm saying? So, and timing, like, even
keep the animal.
Listen, even if you inquire and you're ready to pay, if you guys respond and say, okay, you better be ready to go and say, okay, here's the money. Like, you can't just give it a day and say, oh, okay, well, listen, I'm ready. I bet that by that time that snake could be gone. People just assume that when you inquire, that snake is that snake is held, especially Kinova production. That's just not going to sit around. That's going to be gone. You know what I'm saying? So, wow. Okay. This is going to be my wrap-up question before we get to the hot seat questions. Okay, Summer? One of the biggest things that people struggle with, and I don't want to say myself, but I mean, I know I could always do a better job, but photography, taking photos, like starting a platform, showing pictures of your animals could be everything, right? Nowadays, some people could get away with doing it on like a brand new phone or a new iPhone and stuff like that. But in your eyes, like, do you feel like there's better than that? Like if you really want to have the kind of pictures that you are putting out, like for Justin, you know, especially next to Oreos and stuff like that. I mean, what do you suggest like somebody invest into, like, you know, especially with no knowledge of taking pictures either, keep in mind.
Yeah. So, okay. So before you invest in a camera or anything like that, I would invest in lighting. Like, for instance, the kind of lighting that we have here in my house is absolutely crap. It's yellow, it's awful. Your snakes will never look good, and it doesn't matter how fancy your phone is. The phones still aren't good at like white balance auto correction. So if you can't do so first of all, if you can't invest in anything, take your pictures outside. Natural lighting is going to be better than
God, it's
indoor.
so easy. Just go outside.
It automatically, your snakes will look 15 times better. Take your pictures outside. But if you want to take some indoor shots, some kind of post stuff, some stuff in a light box, something like that, like there's a nice outdoor shot. Get a light. And you can get them super cheap on Amazon. I have like some in the background there. It's like a softbox, just like one like that. And that's all you need. You can get like $30 or something, and just a daylight kind of hue. That is going to do wonders. And then if you get something decent to light your pictures, then I would say after that, do go ahead and probably upgrade to something other than a phone. Although if you get like maybe not an iPhone, but like I know something like the Samsung or like Pixel phones are like super crazy, but I like Sony. If you want to get like something that has interchangeable lenses, you can do have a little bit more control over the depth of field, the aperture, the shutter speed. You can kind of start to play around with stuff like that too. So
now
I would say first lighting.
Sorry, are these light box shots right here? Are these like in the light box of these kind of shots? I'm just curious.
Yeah, those are light box shots, and most of those, well, nowadays they're kind of taken by all sorts of people. In the past, it was always Justin. Now Chase takes some, and then I take some too, depending on just the situation. So those are kind of all various people. Those are actually taken with a really, really old Nikon D53 3500, something like that. Super old camera. I don't recommend that camera, but that's what Justin got like 15 years ago, and that's what he likes to use. So that's what we use for him. I would get something newer if I were you, but it does the job. So it does go to show that you don't have to spend. I mean, that's probably like, you can probably get that camera for like $200 on eBay. You don't have to spend tons of money to get decent pictures. The main thing is the lighting.
So you're saying these shots right here are on an old school Nikon camera, and that's
old. Yeah, super slow and old.
You got to go with what works. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Sometimes you might have what you need in a drawer. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how many times I've come across cameras and I'm like, wow, you know, and like it takes good pictures, like, you know.
Right. But the reason those work is because we have, I mean, if you've seen videos from our facility, we have amazing lighting in the snake room, and we take all those in a little box in the snake room and with a flash. And so the lighting is so good that it really doesn't matter. The camera's old. It's not super high res. Like it's not any kind of, it's like the kit lens. There's nothing fancy about it. I already fed her dinner.
Your husband high.
But anyway, so they, the lighting is what makes those photos come out the way they do. So again, just figure out something to have better lighting, and that's going to do wonders. And then also post. So those pictures that we post do not look like that straight out of the camera. And we're not doing anything crazy to edit them. What we're editing is the exposure and the white balance. So again, white balance. If your pictures are yellow or weird colored, your snakes don't look normal. And if the white isn't white, then it's not exposed properly. So yeah. And you're
editing those in like what, Photoshop, or where are you editing those in?
So for those, like the pictures we use to post, we usually do edit them in Photoshop. My pictures I edit in Lightroom, but either way.
Okay, awesome. Damn, mad knowledge from Summer. Well, listen, I know you have a big day tomorrow. You're going back to work, so I don't want to keep you up too late. I appreciate the hour of you dropping some heat for us. We do have hot seat questions for you. You can't just leave without this was cool, but it's going to be going out hot. So you ready for these hot seat questions?
I've never been more.
All right. Well, listen, here we go. Hot seat questions coming in hot for Summer. You ready, Summer?
Let's go for it. Roll them.
Frozen thought or live?
Frozen thought.
A cut or no cut?
Cut.
On what day?
First one pips.
Ooh, I like that. Red chondro neo or yellow chondro neo?
Red.
Pre-first shed meal or post-first shed meal?
Post.
Yay imports or boo imports?
Depends on the species.
It's either like, let's say the law was in your hands. It's either yes or no. Would you say yes or no to imports?
Yes.
One reptile you would import to your collection anywhere around the world, doesn't matter the size or money, what reptile would it be?
Tuatara.
Ooh, I like that. What about one reptile nobody should ever import ever again? Leave it alone.
Ooh. I don't know. That's hard. I plead the fifth.
The turtles. What about the turtles?
Oh.
Leave the turtles alone, like,
yeah.
What about, right? Sorry, I like
turtles.
Yeah,
we'll leave them in the sea. Yeah.
Yay sports or boo sports?
Yay sports.
All right, awesome. Favorite sport?
Gymnastics.
Okay, we're not going to go any further in that. Let's see, steak or fish?
Steak or fish?
Yeah. Do you prefer steak or fish?
Steak.
Favorite cut of steak?
Filet mignon.
Van Halen or Sammy Hagar?
Van Halen.
Yes. Phew. Trying to go no Sammy here. West Coast rap or East Coast rap?
This is not the question for me.
If you had to pick.
West Coast.
Oh, I like it. Little word association. First thing to come to mind. Substrate.
Mixture.
Favorite codon gene?
Lace.
Least favorite codon gene?
Pastel.
Ooh, wow. FedEx shipping?
Yay.
Mites?
No.
Stuck shed?
Soak.
First time ball python breeder?
Good luck.
Instagram trolls?
Stop spamming me.
Okay, last but not least, if you had to eliminate one recessive genetic out of the hobby forever, what recessive genetic would it be?
Oh God.
Time is ticking.
Caramel albino. It's kinked, and we have Ultramel and Monarch. So,
boom! Just nailed it. Holy shit! We had about 120. We had about 120 people in the live at one point, all here watching you, Summer. What do you have to say to everyone showing you love and support out there?
I have to say thank you so much. I appreciate everybody tuning in. I hope it was relatively enjoyable. If you want to see some of my snakes that I have in my own collection, you can check me out on Instagram at girlwithscales. If you want a snake from Justin, email us at sales@KinovaReptiles.com. I'll be happy to hook you up. Join the Patreon for Kinova. Sorry to put a shameless plug here, but
go ahead.
If you are somebody that is looking to breed, wants to invest, doesn't know what to do, we get tons of questions about it this time of year because everybody's babies are hatching. Join the Patreon. We have a university series where Justin literally tells you everything to do that you need to do to be like him. And I promise you, if you follow his advice, he's a smart guy. So I would highly recommend that. And yeah, I just hope everybody has fun with their snakes and enjoys their time. And yeah, appreciate you having me on, MJ. It's been a blast.
I want to say to capitalize on your Patreon, I think I have 80% of my Patreon members are Patreons of Justin, just to give that little bit of how real deal Justin's Patreon page is, especially if you're really trying to do the ball python stuff for a full time.
For sure. Yeah.
Anyways, listen, this is awesome to have you a part of this. I know Justin's blessed to have you, but I'm sure we're all blessed to have you as well. Thank you for everything you do. Feel better, Summer. Have a good day at work tomorrow. But that's a wrap for Summer. Ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. All right. See y'all. Have a great night. See you.
What a good girl, man. I love it. What an awesome time. I mean, I had a great time. Thank you for everyone who tapped in. I got to say, Kinova has it going on all around as a whole. You know, shout out to Justin. Shout out to the entire Kinova team. Shout out to everyone who tapped in and heard what Summer had to say. Listen, Summer's definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with. I feel like not only by working with Justin, but even just doing her own thing with her own collection. You know, one thing that I really took away when meeting Summer. Well, I met Summer at Bill's, like I said, but I met actually Summer last time at Kinova, and just I remember when I was doing the vlog, she kind of like was pulling stuff out, and just the way she was talking about the morphs, and you know, you understand, like I was kind of happy to back off ball pythons for a while because how much it wraps around your head on how many genes they are and stuff like that. But for her, you could tell she's retaining all this information and she's going somewhere with it. So I gotta just say, man, like, dude, respect to that. And yeah, respect to anyone who tapped in. Hey guys, don't forget to hit the like button, okay? Before you dip out, make sure you hit that like button. Let's get the likes up for Summer because she had a hell of a fucking podcast. And let's see. Make sure you, okay, so if you want to find out a couple ways, okay, I'm not going to have a show this Thursday, but if you want to tap in and find out when my next show is, if you want to get tapped in and get more behind the scene information, if you want to know what my true, because I am going to be coming out with something vlog wise, but it's only going to be released on the Patreon page. I'm not releasing it anywhere else. And that's why it's important if you go down below, click on the Trap Talk Patreon link, because I'm going to not only be putting out private vlogs for the Patreon members, I'm actually be doing private podcasts with some of the biggest people in the game, okay? And I'm coming out with big ass topics to get to talk about, right? And these are going to be 30-minute podcasts, but they're all going to slap. They're all going to hit home to what we're trying to do here, and I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. So if you want to tap into that, make sure you go down to the link below and join the Trap Talk Patreon family. Again, shout out to all my Patreon members and shout out to everyone who dropped a super chat. Fuck, Bill took the Bill. Can't mess up with the big dog, man. You ask Andrew Acevedo, you fuck with the bull, you get the horns, baby. And you don't want those long horns from Bill Siegel. He will stick you to the wall. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate you guys, man. What a great time. And yeah, I'll get back to you guys soon. When? Join the Patreon page and I'll let you know. But I'm tapping out. Enjoy the rest of your night. Again, thank you, Summer from Kinova. Thank you, Kinova. Thank you, Justin Kabelka. Thank you, all my supporters out there. And I'll catch you guys next time. Your boy's out. Cheers.